What's up, everybody? This is episode 65 of An Untold Narrative. We are re-kicking off a new season, and we have an amazing guest today, Izzy Lugo. This podcast is embracing all creatives who are underground working and honing in on their crafts, and they do amazing work behind the scenes that just sometimes needs a podcast to really tell their story. And so Izzy is no stranger to podcasts, and we'll get into that. Izzy, what's up, man? Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate you. I'm super excited to jump on, tell the story, everything like that. But more than anything, to talk to you.
Super appreciated. Yeah, we kicked off this relationship by myself being on your podcast, and we'll get into your podcast, Strange on Purpose, a little bit later. Tell the people, like, where are you coming from? Where did you grow up? Like,
Yeah.
I know a little bit about it, but like I think the context will help people as we get into your story.
Absolutely. So I am currently in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's an even 70 degrees. It's like the perfect day in the world. But I'm originally from the Chicago area. I grew up in the city and then went to high school, a little bit of middle school in the suburbs, and then came up to Milwaukee for school. Been here ever since. This is my 10th year in Milwaukee, or 2023. This is my 9th year in Milwaukee. So like, just mind blown. I was like, yo, like, honestly, not too long ago, like, had a crisis. I'm like, I can't be in the Midwest my whole life. I need to go experience something else. And my fiance was like, me too. So we're currently working through that. But yeah, just super into sneakers. Always been into sneakers. We didn't have a ton of money growing up, so it wasn't like I don't have a Jordan collection from 1993. I have a Jordan collection from when I could afford it, which was like around the time I graduated college and got my own like first job that actually paid me more than minimum wage. So yeah, that's me. A little bit of a snippet as to who I am.
So do you think that because you're from the Chicago area and the Michael Jordan era, like that, you have that classic kind of sneakerhead story startup?
So actually, I think we talked about a little bit about this on my show, but like growing up, we lived, when we moved out to the suburbs, we lived close to a Reebok outlet, and it was like around the back to school shopping. It was always 2 for $50 on the classic nylons and the Club C's there. So I would wear like just those all the time. And I had friends that wore Jordans, everything like that. And I always like loved the silhouette of a Bread 4, like my favorite shoe ever. But I was always like, never gonna have the money for that. Like those are way too expensive. People are wild, all that stuff. So I think from a sense, like always loved the silhouette that like the old G or the OG Jordans really had. But I think I also came from and was built in from a different lens where I appreciated the other silhouettes as well, which if someone were to look at my collection now, they'll see that a little bit as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So it's a little bit different of a take. It's not your classic.
Right. It's not like your classic hype beast, but it's more of a sprinkle of hype beast, but also appreciation of some older silhouettes as well.
Yeah. Cool. You mentioned living in Milwaukee, and I think Milwaukee is probably what Wisconsin is known for. But like Wisconsin's a place that, like, maybe I'm naive. I'm like, okay, there's got to be nothing out there. So you've now been there for almost a decade. Like, why? I gotta ask.
I get this question a lot. It's pretty funny because people are like, wait, where are you building this from? I'm like, yeah, I'm literally like in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I think the biggest thing when I moved up here, I wanted to be close enough that I can drive home, get my mom's rice if I needed it, but far enough that my parents wouldn't just pop up. That was literally the only reasoning. I have a ton of family in Chicago too, so I just wanted to be able to like jump on the highway, be there within an hour and a half. But as time went on, like I started to find some beauties, I guess, in the city. I guess every small town comes with their own little biases, and they're definitely their problems. But I think Milwaukee has this like sense of they call it small walkie here, and it's truly like once you know one person, the whole city might know you. Like it's at that point. But it's also like if you look at population and landmass, like it's also bigger than Atlanta, and it's bigger than most like bigger US cities that you think of, but you don't think of Milwaukee in that context. So honestly, when I came up here, I saw it as a mini Chicago, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can go to Chicago, but I can also live here and pay 25% of the rent.
So I equate this very, very heavily to Worcester, Massachusetts, which is an hour outside of Boston. And
Yeah.
to me, it's a better city because it's got more culture and diversity, and it's a smaller city. And like you can really make an imprint a lot faster and bigger than in a city like Boston. And it
Yeah.
sounds like there's like this underdog kind of love for that, right? Like
Oh
it's like
yeah,
there's like this like small walk. It's like I can build something here and have a huge impact.
absolutely. That was I had an agency a few years after college that closed during COVID. But that was like everything we ran with. Actually, like we called ourselves, it was Urban Misfit Ventures. We were known as the Misfits around town. Just like this group of creative individuals that Milwaukee really like hadn't seen before, to be blatantly honest, and not trying to put anybody else under the bucket, but like we were the first ones to really say, you know what, we're young, we're here, and we're embracing being like weird and like not going about the traditional standpoint of this or the traditional path of this. And I've kind of rode with that ever since. Like, hey, like there doesn't have to be one way. Like if there was one way, I'd still be working in sports with my sports management degree, but I hated it, and I decided to try a few other things, and then finally landed where I am. So I think that underdog mentality and knowing that there wasn't like a ton of people watching me, I guess in a sense, also like alleviated some of the stress of, well, I need to be perfect all the time. It
Sure.
hasn't gone away, but it alleviated some of it.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. I love that. There's a lot of similarities between you and I. Why did you start a business or your own company like a couple years after college? Did you
Yeah.
not find satisfaction or fulfillment in like a corporate job, or you mentioned you didn't like your degree anymore? Like talk about that process.
Yeah. So when I came up to Wisconsin for school, I sat down with the best professor I've ever had. His name's Dan Underberg, and I was a freshman, and uh, I did all these internships in college and everything like that. And he said, my only worry with you is like you're gonna get sick of sports. Like uh, my freshman year, 2 weeks after I got here, I had an internship with the Brewers, and everybody was like mind blown. Like, you're not supposed to do internships till you're a junior, senior in college. But I just like went out and got something. And was I a mascot for a summer? Yes, but like it got my foot on the door, in the door, and it also like opened like every other internship. Everybody wanted me within their departments at the time because they knew how hardworking I was. I already had met them, so when it came to those junior, senior year internships, I was ready. But uh, I was having those conversations with that professor, and he was like, "Yeah, my only worry is that you're going to get sick of it." And I was like, "No, I won't get sick of it." Got a job with the Bucks out of college, and that was in sales, selling more tickets and stuff like that. And I absolutely hated it.
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, he was right. Damn it, he can't be right." So I did that for 6 months, and I was like, "You know what? Maybe it's just the place I'm in. Let me go find something else." So I found a minor league sports conglomerate. They owned the Milwaukee Marathon at the time, bunch of minor league baseball teams all over the nation, indoor soccer team. And I was like, all right, let me see if I can write this out. Did it for a year and a half. And like 6 months in, I was like, all right, this is definitely not for me. And under the table, I was definitely applying for marketing jobs because I like for the longest time, everybody, since I was little, everybody said, you'd be so good at sales. You'd be so good at sales because of like how good I am with talking and just like relationship building and stuff like that. But I actually hate sales. Like I hate having to like sit across from somebody and say, hey, in order for you to come to this game, you have to give up 2% of your salary for the year. Do you want to do it? sign on this dotted line or good luck. And it's like, for me, that wasn't cool.
Well, right. It's like, it's a challenge because it's inauthentic. You're really good at sales for things you're passionate and things you believe in.
Right.
Not, it doesn't translate directly over to something else.
Exactly. And also, like, maybe if I were if I was on like working for teams that I actually were truly passionate about, like my Chicago teams, maybe, but like it never stuck. So as time went on, I just like decided one day to like, I walked into that minor league job and I quit. I just like on the spot. I was like, I had talked about it with my fiance, my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, I hate my job and I can't do this anymore. And I walked in one day and I was like, I quit. Like, I'll figure something out.
You did like what they do in the movies. Like
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't end up the way that the movies usually do. But like after like 6 months of being unemployed, I was like, yo, I probably should have lined something up.
well, so yeah, because when you quit, it's like you're collecting unemployment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Izzy wasn't prepared. Like no savings, nothing. So like all of a sudden driving Uber Eats and like fixing bikes at like the local bike share to just make ends meet. And then like all the while applying for marketing jobs, getting interviews, and everybody like, I remember distinctly a lady telling me like, "Hey, you're great, but we went with somebody else. We think like you would be much better as a salesman." And I was like, bruh. So uh I didn't really have a portfolio at the time. I had started like creating content. Honestly, I had this little, it was mk.foodie. I'm pretty sure it's still up, but I don't actually have access to it anymore on Instagram. I would go around like Milwaukee and just find food, find restaurants to partner with and stuff like that. And I guess in a sense that's an influencer, but like it didn't get a huge following or anything like that, but that was my portfolio. So they were saying like, yo, you need more just work, proof of work and everything like that. And when it came down to it, I was like, I know I can do this stupid marketing assistant role, but no one wants to give me a chance.
Right.
So I'm going to, not only did I quit my job, but I'm like, and I did this foodie stuff and everything like that. I'm going to find some friends around the city, which we did. And I decided to like start this agency on a whim with them. And it worked. Like, honestly, like if I shit you not, like if you go back, I have, like we won, I think 3 of the 4 of us won 25 under 25. We were named one of Wisconsin's 50 fastest growing companies. Like it was growing. And
it was a marketing agency?
It was a marketing agency, and it actually, yeah, it was nuts. The craziest part was we got like to a point where we moved upstairs from our smaller like office suite. We were getting lined up for, and this was 2020 or end of 2019. We are getting super lined up for when the Democratic National Convention was supposed to be here. And we were supposed to get a lot of work. Like we were a preferred vendor for the entire committee, like all this stuff. So I was like, oh, we have this in the bag. Like there's nothing that can stop us. Little did I know, like this little like pandemic was about to come and literally tear us to shreds. And yeah, so that's the story of like why I actually wanted to go out and start a company.
But like but in there, like how are you funding even an office with like some friends? Like how did you guys get clients? Like what was your pitch? Like you had no portfolio.
So that was Izzy's sales skills that went to work there. So basically to start, we did a ton of free work. I was doubling my time as the bike share, the Uber Eats, the everything like that, and then using the rest of my time on the agency and going out and finding partners to actually like provide some work with. Like, yo, we're a new group in town. Like, let me know if you need anything. And like we got some clients out of it, to be blatantly honest. Like I thought like some of these people would just be like, oh, cool, thanks for the free video or anything like that. But like all of a sudden we were working with the Bucks and we were working with the Brewers. And then all of a sudden we were working with our first 3 clients. It was random. Like we were mind blown, but our first 3 clients were the Bucks, the Brewers, so 2 former employers. And then the last one was Summerfest, which is literally the world's largest festival.
Yeah.
And music festival. And then I was like, okay, we're onto something here. And like, there's clearly a need of like a content team, just content driven team, no running of social medias, no, like people needed content at the time. And we just said, screw it. Like, we're going to do this, go all in. And those clients started paying us. There was a luxury footwear, leather goods and footwear brand that came in and started working with us and everything like that. Then we started getting into multinational brands like Kohler and stuff like that. So like it grew really fast, but then we got really aggressive with our money. With the DNC coming into town, we started hiring, and then like we felt bad for those hires. So instead of like just cutting our losses and having money in our pockets, we like literally paid these people out until October of 2020, and then we like said, okay, we have no money. Like there's literally nothing. Yeah, so it was at a stand, like we had hired some people that like took a chance on us. One person, like wife was pregnant, so I was like, I'm not laying this guy off. Like we got to figure something out. So it was definitely like a time, a good like year and a half
How
or
did
two.
you know? So like, I mean, dude, like you experienced some of like the craziest hardships. Like, how did you know what to do?
Blatant honesty. And I wrote about this on LinkedIn. A lot of times I didn't. Like we were rolling with the punches. And I think that's where we made like mistakes. Like financially, yeah, maybe not the best time to go out in the beginning of the year and start spending all this money. Like we still might be a thing if that was the case. But I think I'm a true believer of the whole everything happens for a reason. And like I am now working with startups and like founders and like showing them like, yo, you should probably make this right instead of making that left. This is what I experienced this way. So it was truly like every failure was a learning experience, but you just kept moving on from there. And like I had some mentors, like I still had that professor that I went to, but they had never like built a business. And like I couldn't really look internally because like I don't come from a family of like entrepreneurs or anything like that. So I just like rolled with the punches, try to read as many books as possible and like see what happens. And like it didn't stick, but it also taught me a ton. And I'm like still paying for it for this day, like the bills and everything like that. But it truly is like I wouldn't be where I am today without that experience specifically. So I'm like, damn, this sucks. I'm not gonna have a summer. I'm paying all these bills, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but I got a job that I never thought I would have, like out of it. So
Is there any chance that you do that again? Like you've already done it once, right? Like why can't you do it again now that the pandemic's over? And that's
yeah,
for those not watching on YouTube.
yeah. I think there's a chance. But I truly think I'm doing a TED talk in October about community. Actually all about my podcast and the community that I'm doing it around, or what I built since this all happened. And one of the points that I'm talking about that I'm written out in the speech is like, hey, like I think there's a different calling for me. And it's not like one of the things that we built a lot of our business off of is like LinkedIn content and going out and being these people that write the spaces in between the written and everything like that. And one of the things that we used to talk about a lot was like, you had to be an entrepreneur. You had to go get that thing. But as I started building and like now in like being able to look back and reflect, I realized like not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Like maybe I'm just cut out to like have that failure and like tell people about that failure and like assist other founders in building a business.
There's nothing wrong with being the number 3 or 4 or 5 in a company.
Right. And for the longest time, like I thought it had to be number one, but like that's not the case. And that's that in talking with people, like if that was my learning, there's a lot more ahead of for me. So that's what I really want to make sure I'm doing moving forward.
That's fucking incredible and incredibly self-aware. But I almost said, I'm going to let you finish, and then cut you off and stop you at TED Talk because I want to ask you, what are you doing giving TED Talks, dude? Like, I didn't know I was having a guest who's also putting on a TED Talk because that's fucking cool.
Yeah, I was actually just recently hit up by a local university that's been doing a whole TED conference. And they were like, hey, we're doing this on community. We would love actually like a podcast listener. Random, didn't know I had big podcast listener fan base or like people that listened here. And they were like, no, we really want to hear like your story and like what you would bring in regards to community to this. So it should be an experience. Like it was actually something I put on my list when I was building that company. And I never, like, I used to speak a lot back then. So now, last year, actually, I was thinking about it. I was like, haven't spoken in a while. Maybe I won't do that ever again. And then I was approached for this TED and I was like, maybe I'll do it again. Like I have fun up there. And it's like I think speaking in that setting is a very much a challenge. And I'm like someone that loves to gamify something in order to go out and do it. So it should be interesting.
I'm so stoked, dude. I can't wait. I can't wait to see the hopefully somebody records it and then you guys put it up online. I can't wait.
Oh, absolutely.
That sounds incredible. So you go from this startup venture, it crashes and burns in COVID, obviously. What happens next?
A lot of nothing. Obviously a whole bunch of people actually like know that like the unemployment thing was definitely a thing. A bunch of people being laid off, cut off, whatever. So I literally just sat in my house and like I got massively like to this day I wasn't like clinically depressed, but I think I was depressed and I was just like in my room playing video games, eating a bunch of junk. Still eat junk, but I go outside. And like just like I think like I was just like there, like I was just living and didn't really know what to do. Like I wasn't driving Uber Eats. Like people were still like and the whole hand sanitizer, dropping your food and everything like that. So I wasn't doing anything. I truly wasn't. And like I was collecting unemployment by the like literally the feet of my whatever they say at the bottom of my pants. Like I don't know how I got it, but I got it. And like there was a few like times where I just started applying a ton of places and then started contracting for some tech startups and stuff like that. And ultimately like opened the door to the whole tech field and started working in tech, doing more content strategy and content production more specifically, which was super dope. Honestly, like one of the best places I've ever worked was this company called Help Scout, and fully remote, like dope staff, everything like that. And just like got to learn a lot about myself as a content person, because if you think about it, I was never a content person through any of this. Like the agency, I was very much like I was a COO. I was working on the finances. I was working on the back end stuff and like the partnership, like getting the sales in, everything like that. And almost like more than anything, more directing on set, making sure that everything on the back end was good. And like we were capturing what we needed to capture for our clients. But when it came down to creating, I wasn't doing a ton of that. And so when uh, this tech startup approached me to actually create for them, they actually approached me to do this, to start podcasting. And 3 months before, I had started Strange on Purpose, and the right person heard the episode. I don't look at the numbers, so I'm just like putting stuff out there, and like I didn't like the right person heard an episode, found out I was unemployed, liked the episode, and they're like, yo, we need this. And it just like honestly started going uphill from there. Just like job, Strange on Purpose started doing well. I did get a dog when I was unemployed, so that was like a very random purchase, but I did buy a dog, best purchase of my life. But yeah, like other than that, it was truly like I was massively depressed, started my podcast, started connecting with people like you, and just like ultimately this is what I'm giving my TED talk on. It's like community is what really brought me out of that. Like family was helping me, like my fiance was helping me a ton, but like it was just I was super ashamed at the same time. Like my company had just died. Like I was talking this big game. I was embarrassed. Like it died like that. And it was truly like, okay, how do I get out of this? Do I just like put on a fake face and say, oh no, everything's fine? Or do I just like actually step up to the plate, admit what happened, and like moved on from there and start like actually starting to chase after what I wanted to chase after.
That is very, very deep. And so did you start Strange on Purpose because like you just wanted to talk to people again, or like what was like the incentive for you
I'm gonna just give my TED talk right now. So basically the Strange
Right.
on Purpose.
I don't know the numbers of my podcast, but I promise you there's not going to be any overlap.
So basically, my fiance Erin, I have this story I tell. It's not completely truthful, but it's kind of truthful depending on who you ask. If you ask her, she says I'm lying, but if you ask me, I'm not lying. So basically the big thing for me was like I talk a lot. You know this, like most people that know me know this. And when we were locked in the house 100% of the time and like couldn't go outside or anything like that, Erin was definitely getting annoyed with Izzy, like 100%. So I was like, you know what? That's when I started playing video games, and I was like, all right, there's going to be more things. There's got to be something else for me to do here. So I started Strange on Purpose, and I really wanted, when building out that guest list, I really, really wanted to make it so that I reached out to people that I truly wanted to connect with, not just like have a conversation once and like thanks and hopefully you repost it, but like truly wanted to connect with. And as you know and other people know, like that tree has really like branched out into different industries, just different people, but the root being like, hey, like I just want to talk. I want to talk to you. And like if you have a dope story, I want to just like amplify it. And more than anything, like that's what I wanted to do throughout this whole thing. And again, like I started connecting with these people. They started connecting me with their friends, and their friends connecting me with their friends. And it just like spiraled into like, I'm not a complex podcast, but at the end of the day, like I'm also telling stories that are different, like you, like the stories that are behind the scenes and everything like that. And that's where I started to come out like, yo, I heard this dope story. And like, I started to feel myself smiling and like fully being like back in a sense. So yeah.
Let's fucking go. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm jazzed up. That's so cool. So how many episodes of Strange on Purpose are you in now?
Oh gosh.
You don't know. You can't look.
No, I can't look.
Just ballpark. What do you think it's at?
Let's see. I think we're over 200 episodes.
Holy
No. We're at one. I just uploaded this other. We're at 184.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's a
So
lot. Just
that's a ton.
so I started this in April of 2020.
Yeah.
You started it after that.
Yeah.
And I'm at 65. So
Yeah.
for context, people know Izzy's been putting in work.
Yeah. I've been doing like a ton of just like I toyed around with different times to post, like 2 a week or just 1 a week or anything like that. And I found like a sweet spot of just Mondays, just 1 a week, and just roll with it. And it's been a vibe. It's a lot of work, but it's also a vibe.
Dude, it's work for sure.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. And so like, do you have goals or ambitions around it, like to continue just having these conversations for yourself, or like do you have a vision for it?
It's funny. Somebody asked me, it was actually a brand, they approached me. And they said, hey, like, how do you want to monetize this? And I was like, I don't. I truly I like I don't see myself like if you listen to Joe Rogan or any of these random podcasts out there, like I won't ever be the podcast that is talking like this and then all of a sudden says like get 10% off at Matscape if you use our promo code. Like that's never going to be me. Like that's not me at all. So like I was like, honestly, I don't want to monetize the podcast, but I'll make money in different ways. So like people see me hosting, I want to host events, or like people see me creating content. Like maybe I'll help you with your podcast or anything like that. But I truly like, I would feel bad if I started making money off other people's stories. That's not me. Even though I'm doing the work for it, I just truly don't see myself. Like the reason why I started this was to go out and have dope conversations with dope people. But I feel like if I started to like try to go full time with just this, I would lose that, and I don't want to lose that because I did that before with the agency where I like wanted to do this and this and this, and then I got lost and caught up in the money, and I lost myself. So it was like I don't want to do that again. So truly, I just want to continue telling stories. I want to just have a dope time with people, and I think more than anything, I want to create this like network of former like guests to just pop into a city and say like, hey, I got an open bar here, like come slide through or anything like that, and just like have a good time.
I love that. Definitely want to be part of that too. I know we met each other when you were out on the East Coast recently. So this is getting me jazzed up. I'm ready to go to work. I don't know what I'm going to work on, but podcast, obviously. So like how would you summarize today? Right? Like, are you fucking jazzed up to be here every day? Like how are you feeling every day?
Yeah. Today I was jazzed. Yeah, just getting back from Miami for work. I didn't get enough sleep, but like I'm still jazzed. Like, um, I'm pretty jazzed. Like I had to take a break from Strange on Purpose for a little bit because I was onboarded with a new role and everything like that. But like finally found a good place of balance in my life where I'm like, okay, I can start creating again. And I finally found like Help Scout was definitely one, but when I started like applying to all these different places to work, whether it was Adidas, Nike, tech firms, anything like that, they would see the show and a lot of brands would almost say like in like preliminary interviews say, hey, if you want to work here, you got to stop that. And I'm like, what? No. Um, and now those brands are also like the ones asking like, how can we help? So it's like it's truly like I feel like super grateful that I can do this as much as I can. And everything outside of that is just like making me smile.
That's awesome. I'm super happy to hear that. What's next for you? Do you have like another big goal or ambition? Do you think about that?
Ooh,
Do you have a roadmap or a 5-year plan for yourself?
I don't have a 5-year plan other than possibly living somewhere else. I love Milwaukee, but I think the next step would be just to like, I think for us all to grow, you have to have new experiences. And like, I do travel a lot for work with Trade Block, but like, I don't get quite the experiences that I want if I just like go and just live somewhere for 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is. So I think that's in my future. In regards to the pod, like just truly like going out and doing things. Honestly, one of the big things that I'm going to be doing is for Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm going to be covering 30 stories in 30 days of different Hispanic creatives. So that should be dope. But truly like challenging myself more than anything in the future is just like number one for me.
That's amazing. I'm so jazzed up for you, man. I can't wait to watch what you create. I got a couple more questions for you before we
Yeah.
wrap up. We can definitely chat for a very long time. Keep this going. One, where could people find you on everything? Kind of where do you tell people to come check out your work and your stuff?
Yeah. I am a TikToker.
Let's
So
go.
actually my username is it's Izzy Lugo on almost anything other than TikTok, then it's just Izzy Lugo. I do not dance on TikTok, but I will show you some cool shoes or show you my Nike outlet adventures. But yeah, other than that, you can follow the pod at Strange on Purpose literally anywhere. But yeah.
That's awesome. No, I don't know if I follow you on TikTok, but I definitely will right after. Um, last question for you. I think I'm going to turn this into a new tradition. Like I mentioned at the beginning, you're the start of a new season of me coming out of a break for this podcast as well.
Yeah.
Um, After you're gone,
Ooh.
what is the narrative that you want people to remember you by?
Mm,
I'm very positive and optimistic, and I think about time a lot, and what's going to happen. After this is over, like we could die tomorrow, right? Like,
right.
what's the narrative that you want people to remember you by?
Hmm. I think can I give you like movie examples that
Sure.
will correlate the
Sure.
whole thing? I think a little bit of The Hangover, just a little bit, just because I like a good time. Not that good of a time, but I like a good time. And then I think outside of that is truly a little bit of Finding Nemo, honestly. Like it's truly like I gotta go out there. Like my narrative is truly like I'm constantly trying to find who I am. And as I grow, I'm 28 years old. My parents had me and my brother at this time in their lives, and like I don't think they had a house just yet, but like we're figuring stuff out. And like I still consider myself like super young and a kid. Like I just bought, like they're behind me, but I just bought some corduroy, like the brand corduroy, the books when we were young, shorts. And my fiance goes, that just proves we're all kids at heart. And that's just truly what it is. And then like, I'm just truly just trying to find myself every day, but also have a good time. And what else did Nemo do?
I think I think you're right. Like we're all on, and I'm 30, right? So I'm not that much older than you, but like
Yeah.
we're just trying to find our inner child.
Right, exactly. And until I find that, like I truly think I'm just gonna be searching, and I won't feel fulfilled until I find like where that child sits and like where I'll be comfortable in life.
Do you think you'll ever find that child, or will, like, as time progresses and the world moves faster and faster, maybe it's just a moving target that you'll never hit?
I think I'll find it once I'm done with the work. I feel like I look at my grandpa and my grandmother on my dad's side moved down to Florida. My grandpa retired at 50, sold the house, and just moved. And I look at him and I talk to him on the phone. I talk to my grandma on the phone, and like he found what he wants in his life. He wants his garden in the backyard. Like he wants to go fishing every morning. Like that's what he wants in life. And until like for me, like I'm such a workaholic that I feel like as of right now, like I couldn't find that inner child right now. Not at all. I think I truly have to have the time to sit and not just think, but like be able to like experience things and then say, you know what? Maybe I am like my grandpa. I love gardening. Like maybe I should do that. Or maybe I need to just work my entire maybe I am my inner child right now, but I can't really reflect on that until I guess I'm older.
I love that. No, I'm a big fan. I tell people if I can't be young forever, I could be immature forever, and whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Whatever that like translates to in color. Um, that's awesome, man. I'm so excited. I'm so happy to know you. I'm glad we got to swap podcasts and do that. I'm glad to have another creative. I love that you are such a different type of creative, and you keep biting off as much as life is going to hand you, and you're going to figure it out on the way. And I think there's something really beautiful about that, and I hope that our listenership has gained a ton out of it.
I appreciate you. I really do. This was really, really dope. And uh I look forward to seeing where you end up on your journey as well.
I appreciate that. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 65 of An Untold Narrative. Izzy, you're the man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.